Hello and welcome to another episode of Discover with Spinati. I'm your host, Dr. Spinati. Today's episode number 126, this lovely May 24th, 2024. I love these mirror days because they are very inspirational and also because in about 10 years you won't have them anymore. So take it while you still have it. Now, I've been covering habits 1 through 6 in the past 6 series of episodes. But today we're talking about habit number 7, which is sharpening the saw. If you've read the book of Stephen Covey's highly effective 7 habits of highly effective people, you will know that habit number 7 is about sharpening the saw. Now, sharpening the saw, a lot of people misconstrue that. And even in the book, it's not really explained too well, I think, in my view. In the sense that when you think of sharpening the saw, people think sharpening the saw simply means that I need to have a break. I need to have me time. I need to take a vacation. I need to, let go and just kind of relax. Well, that's not really what sharpening the saw is. That's not what Stephen Covey intended by sharpening the saw, because he relays this story of someone in the forest hacking away at a tree. And then obviously, some time goes by and then the saw gets dull over time. Well, then someone comes, like a wise person comes and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm trying to cut down this tree." He says, "Have you thought of sharpening the saw?" He says, "I don't have time for that." So the actual concept of sharpening the saw isn't about taking a vacation, isn't about taking time off, isn't about relaxing, isn't about watching TV. It's about literally sharpening the saw. So if you think of the saw as your strategy to accomplishment, then the strategy itself is what you are sharpening, right? It's the strategy that you're sharpening. So you're saying to yourself, well, Dr. Spinetti, well, what about, my rejuvenation, right? Like but that's not a sharpening the saw type of thing. That's a daily thing that you have to do. Exercise is a daily thing. Meditating is a daily thing, right? So it's like, in order for you to actually carry through, the personal victories, which is habits 1 to 3. Just remind you, habit 1 is being proactive. Habit 2 is thinking with the end in mind. Habit 3 is, if I can remember correctly, habit 3 is put first things first. The quadrants, and then the 4 through 6, which is the public victory. So after you do the private victory, you have the public victory. And habit 4 is, well, I'm thinking really top of my mind right now. Habit 4 is thinking win-win, and habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood, and habit 6 is synergy. See, I put myself on the spot just for you. But that is the strategy there, right? So habit 7 is what isn't working in that strategy. Now you need to improve it. So habit number 7 is about making yourself better. If you are obviously the person who is leading a strategy, which you are, but your point, the point of habit 7 is to say, look, if you had to divide your time into 7 slices of pie, that one slice is what you should spend in improving the strategy so that you can hammer at it, privately and then publicly. So another story that I thought of is, because I have a little bit of a military background. I spent quite a few years in the military, and so I think a lot of this, military kind of analogies. And one of the analogies that I thought of is, imagine yourself in a battle, and this battle obviously is life. So you're in the battle of life, and you have enemies, and these enemies usually are the things in your mind that you're combating, right? So you've created enemies in your mind because more than likely a lot of these things don't actually exist, but you're kind of just making these enemies up. That's fine. So you make these enemies up, they're motivating you to keep going. Now you are in battle. So you have your weapon, you have your gun, and it's loaded, and you have bullets shooting down the stream, and they're shooting at you. Okay, there's a shower of bullets, and you're standing behind something to cover yourself from the bullets so you don't get hit. You're tired. You haven't slept well in days. You've barely eaten anything. In weeks, you're just fighting. You're going at it. And then you reload your weapon and you're about to take a shot at one of your enemies, and you get hit on the shoulder, and you look at it and it hurts, but you ignore it because you're fierce. And so you go out, right? You go out and then you knock two out, and you seek cover on another building, behind another building. But then the bullets keep coming down. They keep showering at you. They're not relenting. So then you think to yourself, you're like, okay, you're like, how do I sharpen the saw at this point? Well, you can't, because sharpening the saw doesn't happen during the time of battle. Sharpening the saw happens right during the time that the battle has dwindled. So you don't hear the bullets coming down anymore. So your enemies now are taking a break, right? In other words, now you experience a moment of sunshine. So there's a quote, it's a very famous quote that says, the roof is repaired during sunshine. Because a lot of us, we wait until it rains and then we think of repairing the roof. It's the opposite. That's the whole point of sharpening the saw. Sharpening the saw is, yes, you're going to be in battle mode a lot of the times in your life, but there are going to be points in your life that is going to be a sunshine, like a break, or like, a lot of positivity. You're like, okay, like things are going well. At that point, this is the point where people kind of ease back. They're like, oh, finally, things are working. Things are going in my favor. There's positive, and then they relent. This is the time that you sharpen the saw. This is the time that you say, okay, things are going well. I need to now prepare for the next battle, right? Because this is the time you repair the roof when it's sunny outside. You don't repair the roof when it's raining. That's the opposite thinking. So this is the point of habit 7. Habit 7 is that you're going to be in battle, privately and publicly, right? Habits 1 through 3, habits 1 through 4. And then after that, you're going to experience that moment. And you're going to be a lot of those moments. You can experience that moment of sunshine in your life. This is the time. It's not the time to take a vacation. It's not the time for you to relax. It's not the time for you to watch TV or YouTube or whatever. It's the time for you to strategize and to sharpen your saw, meaning literally take the saw and make it more sharp, so that next time you hack away at the tree will fall a lot faster. And then when you take a lot of these moments and you take advantage of these moments, these sunshine moments, and you don't squander it, you don't waste it. Okay, you don't go on vacation during the time that you're experiencing positivity. You're actually sharpening the saw. Then you will see a drastic incline in your progress. That's just the way it works. And this concludes the habits from 1 through 7. I think habit number 7 is probably the most important, because it is the one that leads you to really like a drastic improvement or a drastic, huge push towards your results. May you get any kind of results that you want. And as always, keep smiling. Happy Friday.